right. What's good, people? Hoping everybody's well. Shout out to all of you who came through a little bit early. Sorry for the late start. But welcome back to the Onyx Report, where we black male justice advocates uplift black men and boys using critical analysis. So hope everybody's good. Let's see. All right. Shout out to St. Cyr in the house. Malika, what's going on? And shout out to Malika for making the first donation. You know, like, share, subscribe, join, donate, hit the hype, support the show so we can continue to bring you this independent black male thought. So you can see on the screen, you got the Patreon option. You can do that to support the Onyx Report or the Institute for Black Male Studies. There's the Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. So go ahead and continue to support. And again, shout out to Malika. Hope you're well, good brother. Jesse, what's up? We got Barry in the house. I want to thank Barry for always supporting the show. Appreciate that. And putting up the information in the comment section. Inspirational Truth, what's going on? Got Mark in the house. Appreciate that. Yami, what's up? AB, what's up, man? AB, I might want you to pop up. This seems to be your bailiwick, so you let me know if you're interested. I know you may not have time. So let me know. Omari, what's up? Andre, what's going on? Esoteric Fam, what's up? Got Eclectic Agitator, what's going on? Ernest, what's happening? Spain Man, what's up, man? Hope you're well. Special, what's going on? Let's see, Forever, we got in the house. Dastardly, what's going on? Shout out to Michael, appreciate that support. Let's see, Black Toxic Masculinist, and all right, so let me go ahead and give me 1 second, AB. Shout out to Baba, what's going on? Appreciate that support. Got Daniel just popping in here. Adrian, what's up? All-Star, what's going on? Before I go any further, let me go ahead and bring up my partner, BGS. What's good with you, man?
What up, Doc?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming through. I'm gonna bring AB into this because I know you two talk about these kind of issues on AB's show.
Oh, Roland Martin is his favorite character. Let's put it for a lack of a better term.
Right. Jay Scott, appreciate that compliment. Jay Patrick, what's up? Hurricane, but yeah, today we got to deal with Roland. He dropped a few things that I think merited some response, and I wanted to be able to listen to BGS jump in on this as well. So I called him quick. I was like, "Hey, man, I want to hear your response on this, man." You got AB in the house. What's up, AB?
Hey, what's going on, Doc?
Hey,
BGS.
Yeah, your favorite your favorite panderer. So
I wouldn't call him my favorite anything, but
shout out to Passport.
Well, you're my favorite target, but yeah.
Shout out to Passport OG. Hope everybody's well. So yeah, as you've heard, there was a video drop by Roland. What, about a week ago, something like that?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one with the guy in the pink suit.
Yeah.
Oh, the Stop Being one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna walk through it and drop some commentary. So nothing particularly complicated, but I thought it merited a response. That said, but I wanted to welcome both brothers to the show. I always appreciate when they come through. And AB, I gotta get your contact, man. I was trying to reach you before the show and I couldn't find you, so I gotta get your contact info. All right, we got shout out to Darkness, dropping that. Appreciate that. Let's see, Dead Set. What's going on, man? I rarely get to see Dead Set. Horowitz in the house. What's up? Let's see. All right, so we can go ahead and bring this up. Let me go ahead and share this.
That's my email in the back chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So this one is entitled "The 2008 Strategy is Dead." And as a courtesy to BGS, I'll set it to 125. He has more patience than I do. I usually need to So I
Well,
need to get
I
through
mean,
this.
well, if you're going to set it to 1 point, you normally I set it to 1.25 is because it's slow enough so the audience can actually keep up.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Depending on the speaker, it's sometimes too fast for the audience. But set it to whatever you're comfortable with.
No, it's at 125. Shout out to MS Delta. Was good.
Hey,
For
the spooky
48
shit by the
months.
door. Okay.
Yeah, much appreciated. Shout out to Blue Baggins. Appreciate the donations. Says vote for me or you ain't black.
Don't lock them up. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that. All right. Well, without any further ado, so as I said, Roland Martin, 2008 strategy is dead. Black male voter collapse exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what drew me to this was his depiction of the black male voter, the way he sees
Mm-hmm.
us. And I think we can offer an alternative view that I think a lot of these political insiders tend to downplay or overlook for the sake of their own advancement. So let me see. Just start it from the beginning.
Folks, Black Men Vote released a new poll highlighting
Now tell me,
gap among young black
could you guys hear that okay?
Barely.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
try
they
it.
can turn up a little bit.
black men in key states as we approach the 2026
Was that any better?
That's a lot better.
Okay. All right. So it's up all the way as far as I can get it. So here we go.
midterms. The research from Hit Strategies, based in D.C. by my man Terrence Woodbury, conducted a multi-state survey showing that while most black male
Oh,
voters
shit. I got it. I definitely got to shout out MS Delta. Much appreciation for that generous donation, man. Thank you. So thank you for that. All right.
understand the importance of voting, many are still undecided about participating in this year's elections. The findings are based on polling 1,636 black men ages 18 to 45 across Georgia, Michigan, Mississippi, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina. Michael Bland, Executive Director of Black Men Vote, joins us right now. Michael, glad to have you on the show. So,
Roland, thank you, my brother. Glad to be here with you.
okay, so when we say they're not committed to voting, what does that mean?
Look, I think it's what we all know, Roland. Bottom line is we have to give them a reason to vote. And when I say they, Democrats don't have an economic message. We don't have a message for them to vote. And the reality is 18 to 45, some of the messages that resonate with you and me don't resonate with the brothers between 18 and 45. It's just, one, they live in the biggest disinformation market that we've ever seen in our lives. And two, there's a relationship gap with our politicians that it just doesn't exist. And so they don't see the way that government benefits them, the way that this claim that democracy has benefited them. They don't know what democracy is. So, I think there's a lot of work that we have to do, but that comes from the disinvestment that we don't make into institutions that serve us, black men, black women, minority voters, right? There's a late game that we play. And that's where, that's where we can call with our hands, or excuse me, our tail between our legs.
So you and I saw you, we were in Montgomery.
Yeah, we had a good time.
I'm downstairs, I'm trying to check in. A brother behind the counter, black man, Alabama State student, sports marketing major. And one, he had no idea who I was, and that's fine. I never assume anybody know who I am. I always introduce myself. But as we got to talking, he wasn't even aware, not only of the show, he wasn't aware of the march that was happening literally 2 blocks from where he worked. And as I was kept talking to him.
Okay, now, fellas, feel free to tell me to stop anytime you want to say something, but I do want to have a bit of a moment on this question of whether or not black men keep up with and participate in marches.
Right.
I'd like to get your thoughts on that whole question, because we're really getting to the core of the nature of protest and the various forms it comes in,
Right.
and this litmus test of whether or not black men are truly political based on whether they participate in marches.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know why they keep trying to pull out a 50s, 60s rhetoric 60 years later. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have different avenues to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, what are they marching for?
Yeah. The thing is, back in the day, marches were announced months ahead of time.
Yes.
Not days.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then too, when you mention that there are different methods, I mean, you're talking about a method that black men tend to find themselves locked up over pretty readily.
Right.
And once inside, I mean, I've known brothers that went to marches and ended up in jail for a month.
Yeah.
Trying to get out over other, things linked to it. It could be anything from a traffic ticket to a trumped up charge. But it just seems like at a certain point, the cost seems to outweigh the sacrifice for too many. So they participate in different ways, in my assessment, and we can get to that over time. But do you find that to be an issue in terms of assuming black men participate in marches and yet ignoring the difference in how they're treated?
The thing is, okay, if the march was 2 blocks from where he was, and he didn't know about it, that means your outreach to the affected parties was poor.
Yes.
You're blaming him for not knowing instead of blaming the people that are actually doing the political action for not making people more aware of it. That's not his fault. That's their fault.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's always Jermaine's fault, though.
Hey, AB, you want to get in on this?
Yeah, it's their fault that they didn't tell us.
Okay.
You know, and especially because often especially nowadays. See, I can understand marching back in the 50s when they were actually marching for policy, but now they're marching for foolishness.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a political guy. You can march for anything, but the thing is that it kind of reminds me of, everybody's had a girlfriend, right? And the thing is, they think that you know something about what they're going to do or what they want without them telling you.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to know about the march. Okay, well, did you tell me about the march? No, but you're supposed to know anyway, right?
You're supposed to know. Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I still think there's a cost difference though in terms of what black men experience. But
there is, and that's the problem with black women. They think that their lived experience.
You're kind of in and out, BGS.
Yeah, your mic is in and out.
Okay, and the thing is, they think that their lived experience is the same as ours.
Exactly.
And it's not. Except when they're the victim.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
You don't know what it means to be a woman. Okay.
Well, that and I think they define black oppression based on what they experience, and when black men experience it differently, there's an argument, or they ignore it altogether.
They ignore it altogether because they don't want to be bothered with it. It's too heavy.
Here we go.
He kept saying a lot of students at Alabama State don't know. When I mentioned that I was on the campus last year, he said, man, a lot of times we have no idea who comes on campus. And he was sharing right there how a lot of them are simply not engaged. They don't watch the news. I began to ask him, where do you get your information from? He mentioned TikTok, he mentioned Instagram, go to my iPad. Y'all laid out that YouTube, that first of all, half of young men are active news consumers, just 6% avoid news. But you say that your poll, YouTube was a dominant civic information channel. 90% use YouTube at least multiple times a week, and the majority identify YouTube as a place they go for breaking political news. Now, the reason I understand that, because when we talk about black men, if I pull the dashboard right now and look at my analytics, and I click audience, give me 1 second. In the last 28 days of this show, our audience, male, is 57.6%. Female is 42.2%. And I know when I get stopped, brothers are stopping me all around the country. Man, I love the show. I love the content. So this idea that they're not news consumers, as your poll lays out, is simply not true.
That's right. And listen, Roland, it was shocking to me that that's where they land for their media, right? That's where they land for the news with YouTube. It was very shocking to me. And I tell you, one of my proudest things, or probably the thing I'm most proud of is being a dad. Being a girl dad at that. And so oftentimes I have these conversations with my girls, where do you get your news from? Where do you get your music from? Where do you find the music? I struggle trying to find the music. And then learning that YouTube really is that outlet. I don't know if it's as much as they're not information taking as we do. I think they're consumed with so much, and that what's important to us is relatively not important to them. And that's why I think the dynamics, when we think about, I heard you talk about the autopsy, but what was important about this research is when we talk about black men and precision, tactical, scientific data and how we reach black men, that's why we had to do this research, because a lot of times we were just assuming that they were getting their news from X, or that they were listening to X platform. And so I'm happy that, happy to work with Terrence Woodbury and his phenomenal team at Hit Strategies. But more importantly, I thought it was, really advantageous for me as executive director to say, hey, let's really, unlock this thing with a scalpel and find out where our brothers are getting their information from. And moreover, that media market, the last persuadable base that's left in this country, which is 18 to 45-year-old black men. Where are they getting the news from? Because we also know they are the biggest consumers of disinformation. So there's a lot of work we got to do, and there was a lot of work in trying to unlock that.
Thanks.
Identified 6 segments of black men.
Go ahead.
We're the biggest consumers of disinformation based on what facts?
The thing is, how do they define disinformation?
Yeah.
Yes. And what makes you think any kind of man wants to turn on the MS Now and watch Simone Sanders talk to him.
Yeah, and the thing is, women listen to TikTok and stuff like that. So, but the thing is, it doesn't apply to them.
Of course not.
And some of it is generational. I find that younger people are finding all kinds of what I would consider more obscure places, but that doesn't mean it's misinformation. They're just they're finding and developing their own spaces for exchanging information.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm one step away from newspapers. You know what I mean? So it sometimes this is going to be a generational split in terms of that.
And then I think the biggest divide came. One is COVID, and two, the Ukraine war, when mainstream media started had lost its shine and lost the trust of the people.
Mhm.
Yes.
A lot more people, even
Mhm.
people, have lost the trust in mainstream media. They don't watch it anymore. It's because they can't trust it. So
Right. Well,
Yeah.
by the time you saw individual YouTubers getting more numbers than CNN, it was a wrap.
mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that is the fault of even Jeff Bezos said it about the Washington Post about the misinformation that mainstream media was actually passing along.
Mhm.
But they don't talk about that. But that's that's the horse of a different color.
Yes.
I think I might have cut you off, AB. Were you going to add something to this?
Yeah. They're mainstream media, even on YouTube, is losing views now.
Mhm.
From what I'm hearing, they're trying something in Europe. I don't know how well it's going to work, but they're trying to force social media to only show the news they want to show.
Mhm.
Prioritize that news first before everybody else.
I mean,
like-
it's at the end of the day, social media is owned by them. So, and
Yeah.
YouTube is not owned by us.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Here we go.
Men. And so go to my iPad. Base Dems were the largest group, 31%. Millennials and Gen X Harris voters in 2024. High likelihood of voting in 2026. And I'm going to go actually by percentage. The next highest percentage were Trump voters, 19%. Trump voters in 2024, mixed likelihood of voting in 2026. Next was young supporters, 16%. Gen Z Harris voters in 2024, high likelihood of voting in 2026. Next was disengaged and demobilized, 13%. Voted for someone else, were ineligible to vote, or did not vote in 2024, 50-50 or lower likelihood of voting in 2026. Next, 12% voted for distrustful voters. Voted for someone else, were ineligible to vote, or did not vote in 2024, high likelihood of voting in 2026. Then 9% of respondents, Harris voters in 2024. This was sympathetic but uncertain, 50-50 or lower likelihood of voting in 2026. When you saw that, what jumped out at you?
I got to raise more money. I have to raise more money. And the reason why I say that, it is segmented out so much, and we wanted that. To me, what really jumped out to me was there are massive gaps, but there are ways that we can fill the gaps. And one of the things that we know, to be true is this notion of whether they're informed or uninformed. I think the message that resounds the most, and this even goes from the town halls that we were doing in 2025, is that Black men, younger Black men in particular, feel that folks are just talking at them. And they're not giving them a reason not to vote. When you look at the Trump voter or the young Trump voter, it wasn't surprising to me. As you know, Roland.
Did one of you guys ask me to stop it?
No, I'm sorry, for good reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was part of the Harris campaign. And so, when we saw this late invitation, we saw this late surge of, Black men may go this way, or they may go this way or that way. But it wasn't surprising for me to see that they voted for Trump, because to them, what they see in Trump is economic prosperity. And they don't see that. What they see in the Democratic Party is living in the land of about to do. We'll almost get there. It takes time. And for them, when they're looking at their pockets, particularly now, and that's why I think we're going to see this, we'll continue to see the shift, back to, because we know them to be center left. We'll continue to see the shift for them moving over. But what we know is that what is going to matter most is the economic message. And so clearly the economic message from Trump resonated more than it did from the Harris campaign.
But here's what's interesting, and this is, I think, part of the Democrats' problem. Trump was lying about economics. The reality is numbers don't lie. The last 5 Republican presidents put us in a recession.
Absolutely right.
There's been more job growth in America under Democratic presidents, Carter, Clinton, Obama, Biden, than Republican presidents. I mean, the numbers are stark. But Republicans have successfully created the illusion that they are fantastic for the economy. And I think that's because what Republicans do, they tout tax cuts for corporations and businesses as economic progress when we know that only impacts the top 1%. And so what I've always said, what Democrats got to figure out is how in the hell do you lose an economic argument when the data is actually with you? And so also I believe, and I've been saying this for the longest, and we discussed it earlier with this autopsy report with Ashley, and that is this here. You cannot talk to Black people in the final 2 months.
That's right.
And I got no problem saying this. In November 2023, when Vice President Kamala Harris hosted a dinner with Black men, it was an off-the-record dinner. What I said, and I've said this publicly, so it's not like this is the first time I'm saying this. I said then, y'all must start in January. And how I broke up the year, I said January to July must be engage, enlighten, educate, and inform. I said in every one of these battleground states, in every single city, every single week, there has to be civic education discussions, teachings.
Now this is interesting, as well as his overview of his perception of what's taken place since Obama. He has some interesting points, but it also sounds to me like he's really selling himself for a position.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like this entire discussion is really about marketing himself for the next job, which makes it difficult for me to hear at times. But any responses to what was said so far before we go forward?
Well, he's actually correct. Okay. In other words, basically, if you want, he's saying you have to meet these people where they are. Okay.
Mhm.
Demanding that they come to you because you're selling the product, not them. And, and the thing is, you have to go. The people that are on top, like the problem that we're having is that the people that are actually running for office, okay, with your candidates, will not come down to meet the people where they are. They're on social media. How come you're not? How come you're not on shows? How come you're not trying to go viral? How come you're not visiting your constituents in live streams where they are? Because you're afraid. I think you're going to have to stop being afraid. Because how do you reach people now? It's different than going door to door or canvassing or handing out flyers. Okay, you have a direct link to them, and actually you can speak to them directly. How come you're not using it? So you got to inform them and tell them what you do. Just like I was saying about what's your name? Okay, running in Texas. Okay,
Jamon Harris.
Yeah, not Harris, but what's her name?
Crockett.
Okay, Jasmine Crockett. Okay.
Okay.
You never reach the people and tell them exactly what you're going to do, what you were for, and why you're running for the seat. Okay, and you had access. Okay, she's got a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that stuff on your YouTube channel is telling people why you're running and why you're qualified to actually be in that seat. Not informing people.
Well, and when you think about it, it's easier than ever. I mean, decades ago, you had to fly from one place to another to broadcast live.
Right.
Yeah, you can get on somebody's, YouTube just by getting on Zoom, and so there's more, there's more opportunity to talk to people on all kinds of platforms. And it's a relevant question to ask. Why are you not doing that?
Why you're not doing it? Yeah.
How much of your budget does it take to get on Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Whatever, walking people through what you did, what you accomplished, and then what you want to do.
Exactly.
I said, and you got to be making that investment. I said January to July. Your convention is in August, and then you shift to a different strategy. I've said that to her. I've said it to people running for Senate, people running for Congress, people running for local. I said because we're no longer, and then the autopsy today confirms that you have to be what Republicans are doing. They are engaging their people year round, constantly driving information. Where Democrats, election's over, I'll see you in a year and a half. That ain't gonna cut it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that is, I've been doing this, don't let the curly hair fool you, and let's pay attention to the grades. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I've said this repeatedly ad nauseum, going all the way back since 2009 when I was on the when I was an organizer with the Corzine Weinberg campaign. Late invitations are for fools. And that's a word that Johanna Hayes has said all the time, late invitations are for fools. And we only entertain from September to November. And whether it's a national campaign or the statewide, and then they go back out, do whatever, raise a bunch of money, do a lot of events for politicians, and they forget actually the people who got them elected. That's the problem. And you look at organizations like ourselves, and there's so many others that are doing great work. And what we hear from a lot of time from donors is there'll be late money and money is coming. Now, that's the problem. So how are we supposed to engage? You look at this report and you say, well, Mike, tactically, how are you going to engage them? Well, part of the reason why we did this report was to prove that all your substance, all your engagement is what is going to win elections. If I only entertained my wife or my partner only 3 months out of the year, is she going to talk to me? Is she going to be engaged with me? No, absolutely not. It's the same thing about courting voters. And I don't know why we think this is just a quick fix, or just, as some folks would just call it, a quick marriage or a kiss in the middle of the night. This is dating. This is long-term engagement. And it's something that we refuse to do as a party. And I don't get it. It's very disturbing. And then we live in the land of...
It's not hard to understand, Mike. It's not hard to understand. I'm telling you. See, we got to be honest, and there's some black people watching, and y'all need to go ahead and get out of y'all feelings what I'm about to say. And this is what people have to understand, okay? The strategy since 1965, the strategy from 65 to 2008 was the same, pretty much the same. No, I'll say 65 to 1988, the strategy was the same. And that strategy was black churches talk to black groups like NAACP. We're going to speak to social programs. We're going to speak to the needs of black community. We're going to speak to housing. We're going to speak to food. We're going to speak to healthcare, those things like that. And then what happens? Reverend Jackson wins in 1988. He then says, no, you have to actually campaign a different way. So from 88, 2008, that was a strategy. Then Obama comes along, and this is where things change. Obama says, I don't need that black ecosystem. He literally said it. His campaign literally said it. Now, he was correct. He was correct, because the fervor of black people to vote for the first black president was on a different scale. We showed the data in terms of the turnout data, and it's right here. It's right there. You see it right there where it peaked. The blue line is black people. You see right there where it peaked. That's 08, 2012. It's never been higher. Since 1980, it peaked right there. It got close in 2000.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually agree with Roland on this one. I think part of the problem the Democrats have right now is these candidates coming up are not Obama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually agree with Roland. Let's just face it, Obama's black, and by American standards, and he was just more popular with black people. But
he was more popular with people, period. And
people, that's true, people, period. I can tell you, as somebody that lives in Indiana, a well-known Republican state, when I went to his rallies, the white people were more excited than we were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And quiet as is kept, he won Indiana in 2008.
Okay.
And Indiana's a red state. Indiana hadn't went blue in like 40 years at the time.
Okay. Let me see.
20, but it peaked in those years. So what then happened? Obama runs for 2012. He didn't need the ecosystem. I was saying in 2007 and 8 when he was running, say, bruh, y'all, he only gonna be there max 8 years. You're gonna need the ecosystem. The reality is the black turnout strategy was obliterated when Obama ran for president. The white operatives operated after 2012, 2016, they operated as if he was still running.
Yes, that's right.
That's what happened. And here's why it's in the data. There was an 8-point gap between black women and black men for Obama in 2012. The first sign of black male erosion was in 2012. I discussed it on my show. Then I said, y'all, black men said they were not satisfied with what Obama did in the first 4 years. But because the number was still high 80s, folks were like, oh, it's no big deal. It increased in 16. People, a lot of sisters were like, oh, it's misogyny. I said, misogyny is a part of it. It doesn't fully explain the erosion. The erosion.
All right. BGS, you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah. They basically, what is it? Always
pretty much.
Blah, blah, blah. The thing is, they assumed that people voted for Obama because he was black, and they assumed that black women can throw out a candidate and we're going to vote for her is because she's black instead of her being qualified. Okay, Obama transcended that. In other words, they think, oh, we're just going to follow this pattern. You can't because you're not him. And
Yes.
Roland is 100% right. Okay, you're not Obama.
Yes.
Right.
And Roland said you cannot use what Obama used because you're not him.
Exactly.
You have to change your strategy. And basically Abrams and a whole host of other people found that out. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Well, as far as the it's misogyny comment, I have no trouble saying this to any black woman. Kamala Harris wasn't qualified or fit, and I know y'all can do better.
And Hillary Clinton got what? She won the popular vote in 2016. So it can't
Hillary Clinton actually won more black vote than Kamala Harris did.
Yes.
That's something a lot of people don't want to talk about.
So it can't be misogyny. It can't be hatred of women because black men did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the ongoing stereotypes, one that Obama himself reinforced just before the last presidential election. This whole idea that black men hate women so much that you have to shame them into voting. But if you look at the last few presidential elections, black men are the most progressive male voters across race.
Yes.
Which is what Joy Reid and a whole host of others actually admitted after the election.
But they should have been able to admit it before if you looked at the data.
Oh, yeah. Well just like a black woman's going to act right before you leave her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. T, I have nothing to hide. I voted for a black woman in the last election, 2024. She lost, but we had a black woman running for Senate. Mm-hmm. She came to my church, and despite the fact I was a little, irritated that a politician up in the pulpit, she was actually an improvement over what they've been running. So I was like,
but black men as voters have always been telling women exactly, exactly what their concerns are, and guess what they do? They blow them off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the problem. Stacey Abrams found that out in 2022. She found that out. She ran. Okay, she found out. Oh, I really have to engage these people.
I have to engage them, right?
Yeah.
Because she met with a room full of black men, and they had their own political issues, and that's one of the things that I'm surprised about sometimes in the black community. So many people are shocked that black men have their own political issues, and I'll even have brothers tell me, "Oh, the black community has the same focus." And I said, "Look, sit down with the women in your family, your friend network, whatever it is, sit down with them and see how far you can get into the black male political agenda."
Exactly.
Just go point for point. See how far you can get.
Exactly.
They don't even get past the first one before they're getting yelled at.
Exactly. But that's why the Ice Cube effect was so effective, right? Is because they blatantly told you
yes,
that black men and women don't have the same political outlook. They don't. Yeah. They blatantly told you, what are you going to give us? Okay, now they had nerve to ask, okay, for what's in it for us? Okay, but black men are not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when he starts talking about the collapse of the black male voter pool during this time period, he looks at it as the failure of black men. I don't. I look at it as the maturation of black men starting to identify their own political needs, and what better time for that to happen than under a black president who doesn't prioritize their interests, and if anything, speaks down to them like children when it comes to some of his speeches.
The thing is, his analysis is saying something completely different than his finger wagging, because his whole analysis of how you engage black men, yada yada yada, has been on point. But thing is, to keep his black female audience, then he has to engage in that finger wagging.
Well, not only to keep them, but to market himself as a political consultant, because that sounds to me like what he's doing.
Well, yeah. Well, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, as far as the Democratic Party and the black community, right?
It sounds to me like he's saying, "Look, hire me to be a consultant, and I will prioritize black women, which will guarantee their participation, and I will shame black men into voting in your interest."
Well, that doesn't work, and that's what Obama found out.
Look.
Obama had his arm twisted, actually, because he didn't believe in Kamala Harris. Okay, and he had his arm twisted to go out and say what he said. That's like it wasn't convincing. Okay.
Yeah, most people wanted a primary like Obama. So
yeah, Obama could get us to do it. There's not a black house.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Okay. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Continued in 2020, and the erosion continued in 2024. It's because they were not paying attention to what black men were saying, and they were still running a 2008 strategy that does not work in 2024. It's not going to work in 2026 or 2028.
Did he just say they weren't listening to what black men were saying?
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm talking about. In other words, his analysis is saying something completely different than his finger wagging.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the moment.
What I'm saying, it's,
No, I'm just saying we're gonna see if he switches.
No, he's gonna switch, man.
He's gonna switch, right?
Hey, Dr. Umar switches all the time. Okay, so that's the tactic. Come on, Doc.
He's gonna switch. Yeah.
Hey, Doc, come on, man. How many conferences have you gone to where the analysis is on point? But at the end of the day, to keep the constituent, you got a finger wag, right?
Well, the shorthand of that is whenever you're saying something that might make black women uncomfortable.
Yes, you got to clean it up.
You can get close to the line. You got to switch.
You got to switch. You got to clean it up. Okay. At the end of the day, it's still their fault, right?
I'm not saying I like these niggas, but maybe y'all could think about things a little different and include them more. But they're still horrible.
If you want a different result, but I know they misogynists and they Luddites and they're knuckle draggers, but you want their vote, right? So you're gonna have to do certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know it ain't right, but it is what it is, right?
Which is part of the issue. The part of the reason why they won't talk about misandry. See, they're not gonna look at it as anything larger than misogyny or anything of that nature. Misogyny is okay to include in this because it buys women in, but they're not going to talk about misandry in terms of the treatment of men and black men in particular. They won't go there because that's going to piss off their female base. But anyway, all right, let's go.
Roland, you made this. You said to the brother in the hotel lobby, you asked him, what is the biggest professional market? And he said MLB, and then you had to school him and let him know it was the NFL.
Yeah, because the brother was a sports marketing major, and I was like, bro, right. You might need to know your business if that's what you majoring in.
Right. And so what I take from that concept, and I said this to members of our team and members of our board, I'm a Raiders fan, for better or for worse. I know you're a big fan of Houston. We won't go there, but I'm a big Raiders fan. What I know about Al Davis is similar, and we can learn something from Al Davis in politics. When it doesn't work, he changes it. He fires people. He changes the head coach. So the fact that we're still using a playbook that has been antiquated, right, outdated, and doesn't work, and then we try to infuse the DC level, and Cameron talked about this, the DC Inc. Consulting group think tank to say, hey, here are the issues that matter most to this group, and this group is going to get you over the line. Don't worry about it. This group is going to stay home, or this group is going to come home. It's similar to when folks are saying now the South has something to say, and then they do have something to say. And why are we not surprised that the South turned red? Well, there was an unequivocal divestment, if you will, in Southern politics. Look, Roland, you saw the article. I'm old enough to remember when Louisiana, when Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, these states were blue states. And all of a sudden, why did we remove those infrastructures there? Why did we remove the political powers there, the black politicals? Why did we remove them out of there, right? And we're wondering, how do we get it back? Certainly, this is the same thing, not only with black men, but the question, honestly, look, and then this is my expertise is black men, but the other subgroups that are now leaving the party, you have to give us a reason to vote for you. We're just not coming because we're Democrats or Republicans. The world has changed so much. And if we haven't learned anything from COVID, is that the world has changed so much, even more so politically. So why haven't we adjusted? To me, that's the biggest problem.
Let me also add this. I'm going to add this before I go to my panel with their questions. And again, it's going to step on some toes, and I really don't care because I'm used to that. There are a lot of black men who are also angry at Democrats because of black girl magic.
There it is.
Told you. There it is. I told you.
Switch.
There's a switch.
He went to the Southpaw real quick, boy. Changed everything, man. Southpaw.
Here come the curve, bro.
Yeah. I gotta let these women know I'm still on their side.
Still on their side, yeah.
Jermaine is the problem, baby. Yeah. I ain't saying he ain't. He's the problem.
I feel you, but he is the problem. I get you.
So black men's shift in voting, voting strategy is fundamentally boiled down to They're jealous of black girl
Well,
magic.
mad. Yes.
Yeah.
That isn't the most dismissive way of, instead of actually grappling with the arguments that so many black men are making, especially in this space. Your response is to dismiss all of it with a superficial overlay that is going to be feel good for any of the sisters listening to that.
Yes. Yeah, of course. I mean, Doc, we we in the pro-black space, and we know how the pro-black space runs, right? Okay. And if you want to make money pro-black space, you got to keep women happy. You're going to have to do that switch at some point because they're looking for it.
Oh, God. Man. I won't be in the pro-black space then.
It ain't for the faint of heart. Let's put it that way.
I am Jermaine says I was hoping today's stream isn't my fault.
When is it not? When is it not, sir?
You gotta prove that BGS with those 4 chicks the other week.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I was like, that's what we're supposed to protect.
Yeah. On Dr. Jerry Ball's channel, yeah.
Break it down real quick.
And that's some, that's the hidden thing, right? And these are academics, okay? And when they can speak freely, okay, with how they really feel, they're some of the most vicious people I've ever heard. They really are.
Yeah, and petty.
And petty. Petty is one thing, vicious is another, okay? Black people aren't petty, they're vicious, okay?
All right. Here we go.
See, I ain't got a problem saying it. And I've had conversations with many sisters who kept assigning everything to misogyny. I said, you can't do that. And I'm like, take it from me as a black man. I know the conversations that I have. And so what I had to say to brothers is, brothers, you're offended by black girl magic. You're offended when people say that black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. Ooh. It's also factually correct that black men are the second largest voting bloc of the Democratic Party.
That's right.
And a lot of these brothers are upset. Because I had a brother who told me, who was running in Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So they're the backbone of the Democrat Party, huh? Is that why it's in shambles right now?
Nina Turner said the exact same thing, and this is how they blow smoke up black women's skirts, okay? So what he's saying is doing the exact same thing the Democratic Party does, that they're the backbone of the Democratic Party.
It's ridiculous. And he doesn't even deal with the fact that black men are still overcoming voter disenfranchisement and are still voting at the second highest numbers for the Democratic Party. And yet you're going to disrespect that whole group of men by dismissing their arguments as superficial jealousy.
It's superficial jealousy without but he has to do that switch, right? Because he said you got to pay attention, you got to reach them where they are, you got to understand what they need, blah blah blah. The thing is, if you're going to be in this arena, okay, you're going to have to do that switch, which is what he just did. And the thing is that we pretend like he's being genuine, and he's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dr. Umar does the same thing. Like Dr. Umar got a lot of trouble by saying that white girls are in the gym.
Your mic is going out.
Okay. Dr. Umar says the same thing, right? It said that the white women are in the gym, okay, with the man before he actually reached a certain level, right? Black women did not take that well.
Yeah. But they couldn't say he was wrong.
No. But he had to do a switch if you want your money.
Yeah.
Dr. Shia Bryan's find out the same thing. Okay, if you want your money, you got to be consistent about where your lips are planted. Okay.
Yeah. You got to kiss the ring.
Got to kiss the ring. Yes.
And that's definitely what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
The reason I wanted us to review this piece really came down to his overall perception of black men and this kind of idea that it's just it can all be explained with jealousy of black girl magic or whatever.
Magic.
It's because he's lying. Okay, you spend 30 minutes laying out a reasonable case, like black men, whether you like them or not, black women are a problem to be managed, and you're not doing it well. Okay, for very obvious reasons. Okay,
right.
It had nothing to do with black girl magic. But the thing is, you got to give him something, right? So you have to pander. So he's pandering right now.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
absolutely big time. But there are all kind of ways he could have looked at this, and there are a lot of people he could have talked with about this.
Yes.
But we know his concern is not about getting to the truth. It's about what markets him and what keeps his platform going. So, he's only going to go so far in that critique. But I would say, to the extent that you have black men who are frustrated with the difference in treatment between black men and women, especially when you talk about by political parties or by institutions, the extent to which they can overlook how much support black men haven't received, and are achieving to some extent despite not having that support. And to juxtapose that with this black girl magic idea, which has been subsidized for generations, of course it's frustrating. How are you going to tell black men that they mean very little despite what they go through? And you're not going to acknowledge any of those pitfalls or hurdles, but we're not going to talk about the differences in treatment and how that affects outcome from education to entrepreneurship. Even though black men have more businesses than black women, are they ever credited for such?
No, you can't. But they're not credited because you can't credit them for it. Because guess who still runs the society? Absolutely.
And they're not financed to have those businesses. Those black men are starting it from scratch, and they're doing better than they have any business doing.
Right.
But when you can ignore them and then tell me that the backbone of the party, there is frustration, but I disagree with his interpretation of what that frustration conveys. He makes it superficial to dismiss the argument before you've ever articulating what black men are actually arguing. And if he's able to do that successfully, everybody can walk away feeling good.
And that's the whole point.
Jermaine is silenced again, I guess.
Well, the thing is that Jermaine has his uses. Okay.
Damn. All right, here we go.
He said, "You ain't got no shot in running if you're a black man. You got to be a black woman." And I was like, "Where did you get that from?" And he started explaining to me, and this is what I said to him, and this is the reality, Mike. A lot of these brothers are pissed off that these sisters have organized themselves, have mobilized themselves, are raising money, are doing what they're supposed to do. And then when I look over here, I see a whole bunch of brothers with attitudes and sour faces. And my response to them is, well, why aren't you organizing? And I've said, listen, I got no problem. I've said to Khalil, bruh, Win with Black Men. Yes, we had that great call the day after Kamala Joe dropped out. I said, but the meetings have to continue. Black women, the reason Win with Black Women is so potent today is because they started as the purpose was to get the nomination for Kamala Harris. They achieved their goal in 2024. And they said, well, let's keep going. In 2020, they said, well, let's keep going. And the problem that I see with black men, and Michael, I've told this to many black men, stop bitching that sisters have organized and mobilized, and you got to do it yourself. And if we really want to be honest, Michael, and I'm about to step on some serious toes, the reason many of these brothers don't want to organize and mobilize, because historically, when it came to organizing and mobilizing, it was the sisters who were doing the planning.
You know where he gets that from? Simone Sanders gave a commencement speech at Spelman about 2 years ago. Out of exactly what she said. She reframed the whole civil rights movement, that it was sisters actually organizing marches and organizing protests and organizing writing laws and protesting in legal fields for the civil rights laws. Okay, and they were the organizers. They were the backbone. They were the push. That's where they framed it. So he's repeating what she said. So this is the current black girl magic that rewrites history. That black women have always been the organizers, and black women have always been the so-called the wind beneath the wings of the black community.
And it disrupts and dismisses the entire history of black men in politics.
No, it rewrites it, not dismisses, rewrites it completely.
As if we've never had a presence, we've never done anything, and we're still not.
Exactly.
Like Dr. King and Malcolm don't exist. Okay.
What'd you say?
Like Dr. King and Malcolm X don't exist.
Well,
what,
there's a whole tradition.
Anymore.
yeah,
This whole
what,
position.
they were saying what they're saying is Dr. King and Malcolm X were the face, and it was actually black women that were unacknowledged in the background doing it. That's what they're trying to say.
Mm, mm. This is wow. This is just. I found that to be just mind blowing. How he could, rewrite, to just take that pen out and rewrite over this entire history and leave it at
Mm-hmm.
where he left it, and no pushback.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, I haven't watched the whole thing, so we'll see if Homeboy offers an alternative. But I'm simply observing.
But anyway,
I didn't hear you. What?
he won't.
No. Yeah, but this was at the crux of it. What I wanted to hear BGS's response to his rewriting, as you put it,
Yes.
of black male political involvement and his perceptions about where black men stand now, and thus his interpretation of black men's participation or lack thereof by his assessment,
Mm-hmm.
based on his perception of us in general.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I just found that I found that highly problematic, and of course, this is something that is going to get him a lot of likes and claps and pats on the head from black women.
Yeah.
I mean, if effectively any type of worship that you extend to them is going to be received well.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell people, just be careful. They eat their mascots too. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. They almost ate him about a month ago when he came out talking about black men's mental health.
Who was that?
Roland Martin. They almost came for him.
Oh yeah. When he was talking about black mental health, yeah, absolutely. With Fairfax.
Yeah,
Fairfax. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they attacked him, and he was scared as shit because that's his base.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose my base. If they're mad at me, I got to figure out how to clean it up.
Yeah.
So, anyway, here we go.
I'm just gonna call it what it is.
Roland, I can't listen. I won't disagree with you. I would tell you that some of my biggest mentors and some of my folks that I revere in this game are black women. I can go from Shavonda Sumter. I can go to Judith Finellis. I can go on and on. I mean, the names that can speak ad nauseum. Regina Thomas, my mother, Kelly Ledette. And even you look at the civil rights movement, they were the ones who were really organizing. They were writing the letters. They were, providing a place and, providing a place to stay. They were making the food. They were really, they're the pillars in the black church, right?
Oh,
and so we all, we look at that and we do get upset. The reality is, brothers have not put our ego.
Did you ask me to pause it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I can literally confirm that he's wrong about that because the guy that baptized me actually had Dr. King stay with him.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a much older man. He was he would have been over 100. He would be well over 100 now. But he actually was a part of the movement back in the day. So it wasn't all women. I can tell you. No.
Yeah, I think that's a popular. I mean, women definitely love to roll with that. It's a patting on the back, as it were. But I think what's been happening alongside that is this kind of subtle dismissing of black men and the political history of struggle that black men have participated in. I don't care if you're talking about uprisings on plantations, all the way to political formations and mobilizations. This subtle dismissal and flushing of that history to adore black women in that position, and in a manner that bolsters their, these men's opportunities, bolsters their positions with black women, hopefully, as far as they're concerned, increases their funding and subsidization. Like, all of that is playing into this for me, in a way that I think is a problem. But anyway, here we go.
Egos to the side. And I am not ashamed to say, in particular with Black Men Vote, some of the backbone and a lot of our brass comes from black women that work alongside us and black women that work internally with us. So I'm not ashamed to say that. They do an amazing job. And it's not to say that we can't recruit brothers to do that. I will say this, Roland. There is a gap, at least that I've seen in the last 12 to 14 years. There is a gap from, I would say, black women operatives to black male operatives. I remember in 2014 when I was the field director for Congresswoman Esty and CT5, I sat in a room. We had a GOTV training for all the frontline races. There were about 64 frontline races that year. We were trying to retain the House. And Roland, I was one of 2 black men in that room, one of 5 black folk in that room. So that also goes to the structural and says, that doesn't show up in the autopsy, and that doesn't, and it probably would show up in the autopsy. And that's a whole nother conversation, how certain parties have alienated Black political principles, and yet that's why they've gone on to do other things.
But here's the deal. But here's the deal. I'll never forget. After the 2016 election, when Hillary lost, it was a group of Black women. I'll find the article who wrote a letter and demanded a meeting with Tom Perez. I sat there and I said, "That's what you're supposed to do." Guess who did not do that? Black men. In 2020, I remember it vividly. There were a group of Black men, I was on the text chain, who were trying to do the same thing to send to the DNC after the 2020 election. The letter never got sent. I got the text messages. I remember the conversation. And so what I am saying to brothers in Chicago, Houston, in Memphis, in Tallahassee, Miami, in Jackson, in Charlotte, all over. If you want more out of politics, what you can't do is go, ain't nobody talking to me, ain't nobody call me, ain't nobody ask me. What you got to do is align with Women with Black Men, your organization, Mondale Robinson's organization, or start your own locally. But it ain't gonna happen if Black men are not organized and mobilized.
BGS, man.
Yeah.
Speak to this, please. Any thoughts?
I understand what the thing is, when he says organizing and mobilizing, okay, he's looking at I wouldn't say outdated, but the thing is an older tradition, okay?
Yes.
And I said this to the Black Manosphere a long time ago, right? You know, the so-called Black Brain Trust, okay? They're saying they were actually spouting what we need to organize, mobilize, get attacked.
Your mic is going out. What?
Okay. Your mic is going out.
Okay, local chapters and stuff like that, and I said, okay, we have to use the techniques and have to use the equipment and have to use the methods that we have now. Okay, there's a different way to do it. What they're not the reason they're talking about they're so mad at the Black Manosphere and the online brothers is because brothers are organizing or are making an impact, okay, and outside of their control. The organizing and the infrastructure they're talking about, okay, Black women have control over that. Because when Black men do try to organize, well, you've seen it yourself, Doc, okay? We try to organize Black men on a local level, and what happens, right? Black women actually want to come in and intercede with it.
Yes.
Yeah, because I noticed when he was talking about petitions, I noticed he didn't bring up My Brother's Keeper, where Black women did organize a petition to either include themselves or shut it down, and were successful in submitting the letter, as it were, and many Black men either signed it or didn't respond in any kind of major way, even though there was already a White House Council for Women and Girls.
Yes.
And there was never a White House Council for Men and Boys, especially one that included Black men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I noticed he didn't include that in that conversation. But more than that, I think a lot of this is also tied to some other institutions he's not bringing into this. So he's making this about Black men throwing a pity party. Nobody wants to work with them, so they're going to sit and, you know, this childish interpretation. But I think what he's not including is that there has been, in my assessment, a withdrawing of what little support Black men have gotten historically, taking place across institutions. If you look at education, for example, you know, we talk about Black men moving to STEM, which I do think is happening. But I think what preceded that was a withdrawal in support and resources for Black men, and Black men finding their own way. I think the shift to the trades, you know, wasn't just that Black men woke up one day and said, let's stop going to college. I think more than that happened. I think there was a withdrawal of support. And I think and we can point this all the way back to the 1980s, this attempt to correct the historical, the disenfranchisement of women. So there was an overcorrection in providing support for women and girls. And we see this from K through 12, where boys across race were losing standing. And if you're gonna have any group of a multiracial group of men losing standing, who do you think is going to suffer the most in that paradigm?
Black men. They knew it. You know, I read the book More Than Title IX. They knew that Black boys are going to be left out and at the bottom.
Yes.
And and what they were saying, they had to, even in that book, they said you have to make a special effort to include these boys.
We lost you.
Okay,
Yeah.
you
There
have to
you
make
go.
you have to make a special. I know they don't want this to go out. So anyway, we have to make a special effort to include these boys. Okay.
Mhm.
Moynihan said the exact same thing in '65.
Hmm.
My goodness. Okay. How many times do you have to be repeated?
Wow, that's where we at, man.
He
But
said the
but
exact same thing. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish your
No,
point.
no. I mean, what I'm saying is, you know, the remedy, you just refuse to take it. Okay, because
Yeah.
that's not what you. But you don't want to admit that's not what you want.
Well, see, what I'm adding to that is when you
Uh
talk, the reason I didn't choose education arbitrarily. The
huh. Uh huh.
reason I brought it up is how many things it's tied to.
Right.
If you're going to talk about going for an electoral position,
Uh huh.
you're going to run for any kind of elected position.
Uh-huh.
Education is going to be a facet of that in terms of what the public wants to see in their
Right.
elected representatives.
Exactly.
If you show up to the polls and you have a high school diploma, people
Yeah.
don't take you seriously,
It can't
right?
be. It can't be Joe the plumber. Yeah.
You can't be Joe the plumber. And today, now that may have been something that could be done in a past moment, but it can't really be done in that same way today. And if
Right.
there's been a critical mass disinvestment from black men and boys in education,
Uh huh.
you can't tell me that that's not going to have a trickle effect down the road when it comes to positions that require an education. So I'm not talking about black men necessarily failing. I'm talking about the disinvestment and the extent to which that affects those who are in a position
Right.
to participate on the same grounds.
Yeah. And it goes from the federal level all the way down to the family level.
Yeah. But if you're gonna make sense of that and try to articulate for the people what black men's experience and articulation of issue is in this context, and you're gonna boil it down to a tantrum,
Mm-hmm.
how fucking serious are you about this? You're really gonna dismiss black men to the point of creating a childish tantrum to explain
Yeah.
the subtleties and the nuances of the history of black male voter participation and political participation?
The thing, who is his audience and who is he talking to and why is he talking this way?
Absolutely.
And that because this is how you reach women.
This is how you reach women.
It's how you reach women. Okay.
Yep. Let me run through some of these super chats before I get too
Go
far
ahead.
behind. Shout out to MS Delta. Says my grandfather in Mississippi told me stories how some black men got together to help watch and guard some of the freedom riders and registering black folks in the Delta at their own risk. Of course, absolutely, and you never hear them credited for that, right? And they still do it. I've talked to black men who serve as security, often non-paid, and they'll play the role of security during marches that are predominantly female, especially during what you call it, black BLM protests. Black men were serving as security for those movements, those
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
what you call it, demonstrations to no fanfare.
Yeah.
He who remains says, first off, paying the BGS tax. Secondly, Dr. T, it's frustrating to observe other black men marginalize and sanitize the strides of great black men whose shoulders we stand on. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. No Fear Jahir says NOI, SNCC, Panthers, UNIA, all founded and significantly ran by black men. Thank you. We're going to get rid of all of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lowell says, who's going to take this? Okay. Roland Martin serious. As suspect as Dr. Umar is, he destroyed Roland on his own show. And this cat is someone we do not need to take seriously. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be cool in the comment section now.
Yeah. You got to remember this. You know, you got to be. You know. All right, Miles. Okay.
John says it cracks me up that these Roland Martin clowns still don't get that more. That they try to shame us. The less that it's effective. Ultimately, there's nothing that they can do to stop us.
Yeah.
You know, black men are withdrawing, and they're not really acknowledging that.
If you do something long enough, people become immune.
Yeah. Detroit XRP says they just love giving black women credit, while there's a black man summit back in 2024 during the election, which this cat sounded insane for no reason. So black women organizing everything without policy for black men. Now, 2 points I want to address. He did bring up, I think, unless he's talking about a different thing, I think Roland did bring up the summit, but he kind of dismissed it by saying, well, black men did organize for a minute, but they didn't keep going the way black women do. And then this whole question of organizing policy for black men, I think, is critical. as we see Black women advancing, they are not making room for Black men's political interest.
No.
At all.
It's empty gestures. I mean, we saw this with Kamala. Who's the one in Atlanta? We saw this with Abrams.
Abrams, yeah.
They just kind of throw up these generic lists to address Black male concerns, but it's like handing out a book of coupons. It's just like, what the fuck is this?
It's funny, man. Stacey Abrams' family has 5 kids, right? 3 daughters and 2 sons, right? Okay. All 3 daughters have PhDs from Ivy League schools, okay, and both sons barely have their bachelors.
There you go. So I'm talking about a structural disinvestment from Black men, but you raised another element in that sometimes the disinvestment is happening within families.
Yeah, it's always been that way. It's always been that way. It's been that way since 1890 because for the most part, I'm not saying every time, for the most part, most Black families do not believe in boys' education. Boys' labor, but not his education.
Labor, right. And I think some of this shift to the trades will be used that way. And I think we're starting to see remnants of it in politics, where you're going to have a drop in representation, and the female representation has been growing for years anyway. That's going, but it's being buoyed. It's being supported by not only the party but vested interest. And there's and nobody wants to acknowledge the disinvestment and the long-term impact it has.
Well, the thing is about education and stuff like that, and how men think. Okay, men think education is a means to an end. Okay, in other words, if my education is still going to have me working at Starbucks, I'm not going to take it. Okay, I'd rather take a trade where I can have a decent life and have a decent income. Okay, so without that investment, they have to understand where men are coming from. And this is not just Black men; it's all men. Okay, it's all men.
Why?
Go ahead.
The amount of enrollment for white men is going down because they just don't see the value in it.
Well, increasingly, it's not as right when the unemployment for a bachelor's degree is the same as a blue collar, then there's something wrong with the balance. Okay, but
go ahead.
No, and the thing is that the money is shifting. That's why I was telling Doc, when Trump got in office, okay, when he took away DEI, the money has to shift. This because America's way behind in its infrastructure. They need these men to come in and be blue collar, but they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is that clearly, if going blue collar is more cost effective, it's going to end in a more stable result in terms of employment, and you're not going to leave with tens, if not hundreds of $1,000s of debt. It makes sense that it's happening, but what's also tied to that is impacting political representation.
Yes,
it's impacting even coupling on the basis of perceived class, right, in the Black community. All of these things are impacting, but nobody wants to talk about how these practices impact engagement. They want to, as you say, blame Jermaine.
And the thing is, what I always say, and which gets ignored. Okay. Every Black kid, regardless of sex, should be raised and educated to the greatest extent possible before they leave high school. So if they want to go to college and get a degree, okay, they're perfectly capable of doing that. Or if they want to get blue collar, okay, you're more than capable of doing that. So whatever route they take after get out of high school doesn't mean that you don't educate them to the greatest extent possible. And a lot of times Black women use that when they send them blue collar not to educate that kid. He doesn't need to know how to read and write because he's gonna swing a hammer. Okay?
Yeah, he's gonna swing a hammer.
Which is something the Mohawk Conference 1890 said. They said that 150 years ago. Okay, that Black men did not need to know how to read and write. Okay.
But I think that's the danger of spaces like this, because you do have educated men, you do have men who have been trade certified,
right?
But they're also engaged in politics. They also have an analytical component that they're bringing to bear, and they're able to articulate their political interests.
Yeah.
See, this is the part that I think Roland is overlooking in terms of that. So, but let me finish the last two. here. So we got Lowell again says a solid black man with values who denounces the gynocracy and feminism will never get anywhere in politics because it requires him to be fake. He has to pander to hyenas and white folk with, and which makes no sense.
It makes sense for his pocket, but yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Blue Baggins says Simone Sanders said black women were doing all the work during the civil rights movement. What were black men doing?
Yeah. In fact, I found a clip that when she actually said that. Okay.
You can put it up if you want to.
Okay, I'll put it up.
You want to do it now or you want to do it later? It's all good.
It's on you. We can do it now since it's relevant.
Yeah. Do I got to pull this down or does it come up? Oh, I see. It should come up. There we go.
Yeah, you probably have to pull yours down and then,
yeah,
and then put mine up.
There we go.
Okay.
Women who came before you lining your path in white. That walk is not a metaphor. That walk is lineage. So here's your charge. Class of 2026, the world needs you. Not someday, not when the time is right. The world needs you right now. From abolition to suffrage to civil rights to this very moment, every time the country has been forced to choose between what it claims to be and what it has settled for being, Black women have been the ones doing the forcing. We organized the marches. We built the institutions. We wrote the laws and argued them in court. We turned out the vote when the vote was being suppressed. We held the line when the line was being abandoned. We have carried more often than any other people in this country the conscience of America. And this moment in our history is no different. The world needs your brilliance. Our democracy depends on it. Let me tell you something the people in power are working very hard right now to make you forget. One person can change the world. One woman in the right place at the right time doing the right work has bent the course of this country before, and she will do it again. That woman could be sitting in this arena right now. Spelman has another saying, I believe, a choice to change the world. And it is, in fact, a choice. It is a real one, and it is offered to every single one of you. And it's yours to make. Every single one of you has a place. You have a profession, a community, a sphere of influence where the work needs to be done. In the courtrooms, in the classrooms, in the boardrooms, in the hospitals, in the legislatures, in the churches, in the homes you are about to build. The work is going to need every one of you in every place you land. So the question returns, my sisters. What will you do when the conditions are not in your favor? You will build when the doors close. You will build when the laws shift against you. You will build when the country forgets what it owes you. You will build anyway. When the country has said you cannot, Spelman has said, watch me. When the country has said these conditions are impossible, Spelman has said, build anyway. Be undaunted by the fight. Be the choice to change the world. Build anyway. Congratulations, Spelman College class of 2020.
All right. Yeah. Sounds just like Roland Martin, does it?
Mm-hmm. Let me hold on. Let me share something real quick. The arrogance of this is blowing my mind, and I want to reshare a recent blog piece that I wrote that speaks to this. Now, this is on my blog, newblackmasculinities.wordpress.com. It's called Black Women and the Long-Standing Struggle for Self-Adulation. And what it basically deals with in a nutshell is that we've recently found that there's a new history month, right? So you have Black History Month, you have Women's History Month, and then Black women have also kind of turned April into Black Women's History Month.
Of course.
So if you're standing on any college campus with Black folk, you got 3 months of Black female adulation going on because Black women have effectively colonized Black History Month anyway.
Yes.
Especially if you're dealing with, a preponderance of Black female students in a given space. Women's History Month in the context of the Black community is basically Black Women's History Month.
Right.
And now, you have this kind of shift of April into Black Women's History Month. Now, the reason I bring this up here is just like what we just saw a moment ago. This kind of self-adulation, this desire to rewrite history to include women, which is not a problem in and of itself, but to exclude the contributions of men, while at the same time, Black men are not going into the same spaces in terms of education to the same degrees. And not that we ever have. But those numbers are dropping and becoming more divided the more we pay attention to this. So I'm looking at this whole dynamic and I'm saying, this self-aggrandizing approach to reframing the narrative, rewriting the political narrative, this is about to be a serious problem in terms of the divide between Black men and women. It's about to be a serious problem. And I think people are underestimating how much so in that respect. But you tell me,
I mean, the thing is, and you're starting to hear the changes. The body start to hit the floor, right? Okay, as this society starts to strip away the netting that has caught Black women for the last 50, 60, 70 years. Okay, the bodies are hitting the floor. And you're starting to hear their tone change toward Black men and their rhetoric toward Black men. The thing is, I said they're going to change. The thing is, can they change fast enough? Yeah, I don't think they can.
Well, go ahead, AB.
Unfortunately, no, it's not working.
Well, and if they haven't prioritized the value of Black men's participation, it's only going to get worse, faster.
And the thing is, instead of prioritizing Black men's participation and including them and actually uplifting them, uplifting Black male organizations, what do? They shame you.
Yeah. And then you have black men like this that support the shaming.
It encourage Black men to shame to accept the shaming.
Yeah, and applaud it for their own advancement.
In other words, you Black men are not doing squat. So since you're not doing squat, get behind Black women and let them do it.
Right, but we're going to not pay attention to how the dynamics came to be.
The Tiffany Cross argument.
Oh, Tiffany Cross argument. Also, a lot of that stuff. If you read Polymer's Jane Crow, she was furious that Black women did not get the stage in the March on Washington in '63. She was furious, and she never forgot that. And that chord has struck through the Black civil rights and post civil rights ever since. So Black feminists carry that anger that they weren't put forward, they weren't empowered, they weren't whatever. Okay, not saying they didn't do some work, but the thing is now their thing is we're going to shut you out just like we think you shut us out.
Right. And it's like, okay, do that to the community's political peril, but all right.
Yeah. Well, that at some point, Black women they'd rather rule in ashes than serve in heaven.
Unfortunately.
All right, here we go.
Well, let me take a page, if I may. Let me just take a page out of Kenny Diggsville. He's a board member of ours. We had a meeting, and one of the things he said, and I'll say this: he said, "Folks need to start their own organization. We ain't got time to reboot shit. We ain't got time to live. We just don't have time for that." Right? We live on the clock. We are on borrowed time. And I will say, if you want to get something done, you better find you a badass sister. And I think about all the chicks.
There we go.
God damn it.
There we go.
The fucking pandering is sickening, man.
Yeah.
Good God.
Davis Prince, who we want to get things done and move things along, and leaders of color. I mean, she can move things overnight. And so I say this.
There we go.
She used to say all the time to us when we ended our calls, nobody is coming to save us.
Right.
Black men, nobody is coming to save us. You mentioned Khalil, you mentioned Mondale, John Thompson. I throw him in there, in Georgia, who's doing a phenomenal job down there, right? And so we've got to align with our groups. There is no beef with our groups, and we all have similar missions, but our job is to get Black men over the finish line. Our job is to teach Black men how to advocate, because I want to remind you on this show, Roland, and I remind everybody else, just like I did at this conference today, Black men are the last persuadable base left. So when we come out here and we spout dumb shit to 18 or 45-year-old Black men that has no merit, makes no sense.
Yep.
That's when we get in trouble. And that's when we do these things as Dems. And the thing that we usually do as Dems when we get a layup is we block our own shot.
Well, that's why I was critical when Obama made that comment about why Black men were not supporting Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, he was just wrong. He got lots of pushback. Absolutely. And I was told that he called several brothers. He didn't call me. They ain't gonna never call me.
Now, just to be clear, that's his frustration.
Yeah.
All of this is a commercial for Roland to really become more of a political insider and to get hired by the party. This is fundamentally this is what I'm hearing from him. This is what his big issue is. It isn't Black males' participation. It's the
Right.
extent to which he can't be brought in and hired
Yes.
to perform managing black men's political participation. That's all this really is about. Black men's current status in politics is for him a justification to bring him in and give him resources and political power. That's all he's really looking for in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, whenever you hear Roland Martin talking about they need to support black media more, he's talking about himself.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. Which is why he's not going to give an accurate account or talk to black men on the ground who have something to say. Every time he tells you of an example where he's talked to black men to get a sense of where they are, he always what he does is he tells you a story of black men who don't know anything about politics, who are ignorant. I mean, think about the examples he's given in this show, who are ignorant about things that are going on around them. They don't know what's going on politically. They're involved, or they're not involved. They don't know what's happening, and they have complaints that are illogical and irrational. Those are the stories he keeps telling you. When's the last time he met with somebody that actually challenged his perspective with valid arguments that he may not agree with?
It was the last time I saw was Terrain. We made a mistake having Terrain on this show, which he hasn't had back since.
Exactly. There we go.
He called several because I'm gonna be way too honest. He called several brothers to get their advice and counsel, and it was a screw up because it wasn't solely because she was a woman. I am not dumb enough to act like they're not black men and Latino men and white men who will not support a woman. That exists. Right. That wasn't the only reason. But I just still keep saying to black men, hey, stop waiting. You can't get an attitude because sisters are doing their thing. And if you ain't doing it as well, let's go to my panel. Cameron, you first.
What is he talking about if the majority of voting black men voted to the second highest degree to support the candidate he wanted? Where is the evidence?
That's what I said on Saturday.
Yeah,
where's the 8% clip for Kamala Harris? Why are y'all complaining?
Yeah, where's the evidence of what he's trying to ascribe to black men if they actually did what you wanted them to do to a higher degree than any other group, any other demographic? This doesn't make any damn sense.
Let's go.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, brother?
What up, Cam? Good to see you, brother.
Question, good to see you. I love the fact that you did this and focus specifically on black men, and you say we're the last persuadable group. And we've had plenty of conversations about what it takes to really reach us in this digital first world. How do you plan to make sure this? You're a national organization, and then you, Mondale, a few others, Black Male Initiative. There's some really big national black male organizations, but we need to make sure at a grassroots level that a lot of this information really gets to these local state legislature candidates. I think so much is going to be spent and sent and focused on the Senate races, the congressional races, maybe a few governor races. But we're getting decimated in these state legislatures, and they really need to be able, local Democrats and local parties, whether they're black, white, or whatever, need to be able to talk to black men in their local areas. How do you plan to make sure you get this information up and down and throughout up and down the ballot?
Man, Cam, thank you for that question. I don't sleep. I just take long breaks. That's part of it. That's the first one. The second part is working with great people. I know Roland talked about black women, working with great people like Crystal Spann, the South Carolina Democratic Party executive director, and leaning on her help, leaning on her institutional knowledge on how to connect me to other folks. And we have other coalition partners around the country that we're working with to ensure that not only do we put this in the hands of just to win legislatures. This is the first piece of a roadmap for us to really win and do what we need to do in community and connectivity. So, and look, this is also to the folks who donate to what we do. This is the first phase to show. Listen, we've taken the time to do the science. We spent an inordinate amount of money on this because it is that important to me. We can live and we can guess and we can assume, but just like we also say, black men aren't monoliths. I would never assume Mike Bland is the black man that can make all decisions for black men. I need to hear all different kinds of stakeholders from all over the country and ensure whether young, old, middle-aged, educated, uneducated, rural, suburban, urban voters. I need to hear from them, right? The disenfranchised. I need to hear from them, and so it's my job to, no matter who can connect this. Not just on the state level, because I think we always think, hey, let me talk to a state party chair. I'm looking for young, young mentor group, young groups that do mentoring, young groups that are really, really in the community and really, really rooted in supporting young black men. I'm talking about AYF, AAU coaches, travel baseball teams. These are the folks that we're trying to communicate with to get this message to and express not only the importance of voting, but what's at stake in this election. And working with you, Cam. So I got to raise more money so you can help us.
Nicole.
Yeah, I thought this study was incredibly insightful. And I want the viewers to remember that this is not about black men versus black women. This is not a competition. This is about black people versus the white power structure.
No. Roland framed it as
Mhm.
black men versus black women and suggested that black men were failing.
Yep.
So, so if you want to correct it, don't correct the audience's interpretation of what Roland set up. Correct how Roland framed the show.
Mhm.
But go ahead. Yeah.
And so for the Black women campaign managers, leaders, organizers that are watching this tonight, what are some key things that they should take away from this study so that they can support Black men getting involved and getting to the polls?
Don't let the DC consulting class tell you that your only key groups is this XA group. Really push them on finding the statistical data that makes a difference. I think about Virginia 4. Virginia 4 is a district where, if you all remember, the congressional representative said in reference to Hakeem Jeffries, and she laughed, yeah, I agree about his cotton picking hands. That's a district that we can flip. That's not on a lot of folks' radar. I will also tell them, don't be ashamed to push your consultants to really micro-target on the research that matters to your constituency the most. Because oftentimes we just think, I got to talk to the suburban white voter or the 1 out of 3 voter. How about the voter that, hasn't voted, the Bernie voter who hasn't come home? And it is okay to give forgiveness to some of our brothers that vote for Donald Trump. I'll be the first one to say that, because they are coming back. And what I will say is look at this is not only look at this research, but look at the brothers that Roland and Cam mentioned. Look at us as partners across the country, because we have committed to say there is no beef with us. There is no gripe or there's none of that. Our job is to make sure not only our priorities are heard, but that the candidates across the country that are running, that they are running on the right platform that's going to get, as I like to say, Tyrone off the couch. And that should be the motivation for all, a lot of campaign managers across the country. Put that on a post-it on your wall, on your whiteboard, whatever you talk to your staff with. What are we doing to get Tyrone off the couch? Because the margins are going to be simply that close.
Absolutely. Greg.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you, Brother Bland. Just 5 seconds. I'm a teacher. I started teaching in 1987 in one form or another, K-12, undergraduate students, graduate students, law students, and then most people with not even going to school. And looking at your report, my question to you has to do with the form of messaging. I think that the messages are there. Anybody who spends 10 minutes looking at the issues should be very easily persuaded of what's in their best interest. But when the report says that music, memes, and news are the most popular topics, but when I look at the delivery systems, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, and it's YouTube. And I think, how do we approach this question of, I used to call it illiteracy. People have the capacity to read, but choose not to. I'm more convinced than ever, I see it every day in the classroom and in the streets, that it's illiteracy. People have simply had their diminishing developed ability to absorb information and critically think. How do we get at that, particularly since they're going to unleash even more tides of disinformation with AI and all this? How do we address that issue?
You're already addressing it by being on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, the same people you're saying that are illiterate are listening to you, are listening to Roland. If they have YouTube, they have the capacity to listen to your own demographic who's representing yourself. And by this, I mean political and racial and gender demographic in regard to Roland and his platform. If you're going to say that there's something inherently insufficient about these platforms while you're on it, presenting the information you think they're not getting, there's kind of a contradiction happening. But
you should be glad we're not playing this on my channel, because I would play a certain clip from Savvy.
Okay.
She said it directly to Roland too.
You're on YouTube too, yeah.
Yes, but that's not what she said.
Yeah.
I wanted to address what the previous brother said about he's thinking about forgiving those of us who voted for Trump. I'm not looking for your forgiveness.
Yeah.
Now, is Trump screwing up right now? Yes. I have no problem saying that he's screwing up right now and he's doing stuff that I don't agree with. But I'm not apologizing to no one for voting for Donald Trump. It was the better option. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your statement. I thought you were done.
He was the better option.
Okay. I think outside of those who voted traditionally Democrat, you have at least 3 populations. You have the couch, right? You got those who vote third party, and then you got those who voted Republican. And they're fixing all of their energy on those who voted Republican, and Roland, showed you the 19% stats or whatnot. And they think that that's the majority. But I think, and he's saying that they're going to come back because of how poorly Trump is doing. They're going to come back to the Democrats. I actually think in spaces like the one we're in, you got black men are either going to be on the couch, they're going to be third party. And I think those are going to be the 2 options, unless You actually target very specific policies you're willing to advocate in their interest. I don't think there's coming back for too many black men. I really don't.
No, it's not. I'm leaning toward the couch right now.
I mean, I think that's where it's heading, because even in this breakdown, these assessments, none of them have actually talked about listening to what black men are saying outside of Roland's kind of childish depiction of black men's status in politics and the position they're taking in terms of worldview. Nobody actually talked about listening to them and addressing their political interests, because what they're trying to do is suggest that black men who don't vote Democratic have no political interest. That's what they're trying to say. You're just either crazy for following Trump, or that's it. And it's like, no, there are actually black men that have a lot to say, have a lot of political interests that have remained ignored in the Democratic Party. And until you address them, they're going to head to the couch, the third party, or Trump. That's it. But if they're not getting anything for their vote,
white people do it all the time. Black men are supposed to stay in place and be loyal to black women.
Dr. T, I'm at the point right now, and I'm going to say it nicely because I am on your show. I'm not going to kiss the Democrat Party's behind for anybody anymore. That's just not going to happen. And I'm being nice right now. I'm not going to kiss the Democrat Party's behind anymore for anybody.
Yeah.
Kiss the Republicans behind either. Like I said, I'm leaning toward the couch right now.
Yeah. I mean, check out what Roz said. He said the brother and sister at the end tried to clean up what Roland said because they know how it looked and sounded. No different than Tiffany Cross's 2 fumbles, massive over the past few years. He's absolutely right. They were trying to clean it up. They were trying to, because Roland, he ran too deep, ran too hard into that direction, but he was doing so for a purpose. I may not agree with Roland, but he's not an idiot. What Roland is doing, he's advancing himself. He's advancing himself. He's trying to get a job. He's trying to get a contract. That's all this is. And if black men need to be flushed down the toilet for him to do it, he'll do it.
Yeah. Under the bus you shall go.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, hold on.
Okay, all right. So we lost him. We're gonna get him right back. Something happened with our link there, so we're gonna reset that question. For folks listening, this is what I just really believe. So I need y'all to listen to where you are. There is no greater group or no greater person to reach when it comes to your black male group than your concentric circle. If you are a black man watching this show right now, and this applies to black women, this applies to white men, applies to any group, but I'm specifically saying you're a black man. Let me know when y'all got Michael Bland back. If you're a black man, you're watching the show right now, what you should say is, who are the black men in my group? The 4, the 6, 8, 10, 15, 20. So now let me then say, all right, I need to ask each one of these brothers in my group, did you vote in the last election? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, are you registered? If the answer is no to voting and no to registering, now you got to say why. Now you have to actually drive a conversation. This is akin to somebody saying, Pastor, if you could just talk to this brother at my job, and the pastor say, I don't work there. You work there. You should be talking to that brother at your job and say, come to church with me. That means that you have to be a witness. See, part of this is waiting on an external force from on high to essentially walk into my city, walk into my neighborhood, come down my block, walk down my street, knock on my door, walk in my house, sit in the living room, hold my hand, and walk me through it. No, you, to that brother watching, you can actually create your own little cell of 4, 5, 8, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, whatever the number is, and say, I'm doing my part. We got Michael Bland back.
His depiction of black men is horrible, it's pathetic, and it's embarrassing.
Yes.
It's predicated on the idea that black men are ignorant, are stupid, and incapable, which is a long-standing stereotype that has been going back for generations, that Black feminists have doubled down on and have been using for years now. And in order to cater to Black women, I see him investing in it. And it's I find it just sickening. But
so this is how we have to be thinking. Michael, did you hear all of Greg's questions? If not, I can have him restate it.
I did not.
Greg, restate, please.
Thank you, Roland. And thank you again, Brother Bland. Just very quickly, as I said, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher for now close to 40 years, one way or the other. And from K-12, high school, graduate student, oh, no, man, thank you. I mean, we're all educators in one way or another, and I see y'all do political education as well. My question is about literacy. My question is about messaging. I think that the messages are there. I think that, 5 or 10 minutes and just sitting and thinking about things after having consumed some information should clarify a lot of things for folk. But my question is, because I increasingly see, I used to call it illiteracy. People have the ability to read and choose not to. But now I'm trending toward thinking about it as illiteracy. They really don't have a developed capacity to absorb information and think critically. When I'm looking at the report and you say that most people respond to music, to memes, and they say they're seeking news, which you say about half the people seek news and 44% get it from their feeds. And I'm looking at YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I don't consider any of that as really being able to consume news and critically think. I see it as people just being stimulated and switching around. How do we address the question of illiteracy? And especially when disinformation is going to be a huge part. Yeah, there it is right there. And even as you said, the persuadable, 3/4, if the report is this right, 3/4 of the men polled said they are almost certainly are probably going to vote. And only 7% said they're not voting. So how do we get at the question of how we're consuming what appears to be data, what appears to be information, but it's really just kind of like titillating kind of spectacle and this kind of moving image stuff that doesn't.
This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a horrible way of addressing an inevitable shift in the culture. People, things have been moving toward technology. This isn't new. This is the latest formulation of technology and where it's going. Social media is the format.
Yes.
You can't go back to the newspaper. I'm sorry, it's not happening. So instead of insulting people who are on it, the question should be, how do you get ahead of the curve? Which, in theory, if I was a Rolandite, I would think you guys are doing just that. You're turning YouTube into the kind of news platform for Black folk politically that you think needs to exist. Well, instead of just shitting on it, you should be pushing harder if that's what you believe people need to know. But this kind of dismissal of social media, I'm like, it's not like we're about to go back. What are you guys expecting here? You don't insult the platform that people are on. You get ahead of it because there's no shifting it. There's nothing that's going to go on that's going to take this back. I mean, what you want us to do? Start telegraphing information again? Like, what's the goal here? We moving back to the Pony Express? What are we doing?
They want you to get back into a controllable form of networking or engaging. That's what they want. Is because this is outside of what they can control.
Yeah, and you got to compete. You no longer have ownership of a space where you don't have to compete with ideas from other spaces.
Because Black women know how to invade other forms of organizing. Okay. Well, the thing is, they haven't figured out how to invade Black male spaces in social media.
All right, hold on. Here we go.
But really foment critical thinking.
I think Roland, he prefaced this earlier in the conversation. The political game has changed. And again, I go back to COVID. Remember, COVID kept us in the house for some parts for half a year to a year. And be it all, you look at some jobs are still remote, 5, 6, 7 years later, right? And so what did that force us to do? It forced us to constantly pick this thing up because we were bored. We were stuck inside the house. And that became a condition. That became a, modern age. This is what I'm going to do.
COVID was an amplifier, but it was already happening.
Yeah. It was.
Let's not act like COVID created this.
It didn't. But the thing is, that's where the switch happened.
Yes, it was. It's an amplifier. I agree.
So the majority of people are actually on this social media platform, and they haven't made the adjustment yet. And Black women have not figured out how can they invade our space, which they haven't been able to do, in the same way they would do it in a local forum, right? They just walk in. Even amongst the Black Manosphere Conclave, right? Black men have tried to invade that over the past 5 years. In fact, they tried to sue the Black Male Conclave.
Well, and they've tried to invade, manosphere spaces as well.
Yeah.
They've tried. But,
Yeah.
But I'm simply saying that, yeah, even though COVID amplified things, it was already moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And to suggest that it's inherently a problem, to me, is a waste of energy. Because if we knew it was heading this way, and I knew it, and I'm not even plugged in the way these guys are, and I knew things were moving that direction prior to COVID. My question is, you should have been planning to get ahead of it. And the moment COVID hit, you should have ran with the ball.
Even if they had got in the middle of it, okay. The thing is, their strategy and the way they do things is not compatible with with their message, right? Okay, because one thing that social media is going to do is the strongest argument is actually going to win out over time. Okay,
Mhm.
and the thing is, they've lost control, and this is not just here. This is also white women doing the same thing in the UK.
Sure.
Okay,
But I will tell you what confuses me about this, though.
mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think Roland came to YouTube with this mapped out. I mean, didn't he get kind of pushed out of TV One or wherever he was?
He did get pushed out of TV One, exactly.
But I will credit him with, instead of just going to network and stopping there, he came to YouTube and he built a platform.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with a lot of the things he says or any of that, but I'm saying he built a platform. I would think at this moment he would be interjecting to actually speak to the potential of platforms that he's on, that he's actually building. I mean, I'm like, this is your platform. You're on fucking YouTube. What are you doing?
One, he's trying to guide men and women to his platform, and two, he's pandering. Okay, he has to give them what he wants to hear. Okay, because the misinformation, like he's giving straight information, correct information. We're giving misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they label it. That's how they label the whole manosphere, the whole online presence of black males. They're consuming misinformation.
Mm-hmm. If it's not what we're talking about, it's
not what we're talking about. It's misinformation. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
At a boredom, or this is just not what I do. I sit on my phone and I get my information from my phone. Right? It's part of what has killed your traditional newspapers. It's part of what has killed your traditional periodicals and your journals, because now the quick consumption, the 30-second media hit is now it's more relevant than sitting down, reading a newspaper. I was on a flight with a gentleman on the way here, older black gentleman. He was reading the newspaper. I said, "Wow, man, that's a lost talent." He said, "What's that?" I said, "Read the newspaper." I remember Uncle David used to drive and read the newspaper at the same time. And I think that's one of the things, as we talked about the evolution politically, but just as our attention spans, not just as Americans, but as humans, is now predicated on is predicated on technology. Technology has made fools of us all. And, we rely on this thing that lives in our hand, the size of our hand. And so that's part of the problem. But
look, I don't know why people overlook this. Newspapers were the technology of their day.
Of their day.
Yes. Everything.
300 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to decry the impact of technology, you really can't do that by pointing to technology. Mm-hmm. I mean, the newspaper was a stopgap. If anything, any form of technology is generally considered a stopgap for whatever is going to come out later. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, the newspaper is one frame in time, and you want to treat it like it was, the exalted, perfect, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was always in motion. Go ahead.
I'm so glad you said that, because this is something I've told older black Christians. Because your father's a preacher. They swore up and down that King James version was the default definition of the Word of God, even though that wasn't even the language spoken at the time, and the printing press wasn't even invented till 1,000 years after Jesus was on this earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but y'all scoff at technology, but you don't even realize the people would probably scoff at what you're using right now.
There it is. Yeah. And if your concern is the state of the Bible and what form it's presented in, Bible apps were some of the first apps I'd ever seen. Like, they were there.
Yeah, they were already there. Yeah.
So if you want to spread the message of the Bible and you're mad that people aren't picking up the physical book, guess what they can do?
Yeah.
Not only can they read it on their phones, but it can send them alerts at different times of the day with specific chapters. If anything,
other Bibles that we didn't have access to before.
Christianity has always used the modern technology to get its word out. So,
but that's what I'm just saying. If that's your mission,
their mission is control. It's not to get the word out. Okay, they're trying to force you back into the matriarchal, the standard matriarchal patterns,
Right.
standard matriarchal organizations that you came from. Okay,
Yeah. And you
Be-
can't control it when it's this dispersed.
you can't, which is why I've always resisted the centralization of this space.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to get together. We got, you got to build it. You got to make this an institution and have rules and regulations and blah blah blah. And I said the reason it works is because it's decentralized.
Yes.
Briar patch.
Briar patch, yes.
Here we go.
In that problem, it is created, or in that crisis, it has created opportunity. And so that's why the research is based like this, because understanding that's where 18 to 45-year-olds, that's where they're mostly focused on. That's what's usually in their hand is their cell phone. So why have you in your hand? I need to learn how to communicate with you and figure out where you get your information from, be it all what information, because I can tell you who has done this research, maybe at the very least, not just with Black men, but with Democratic voters, it's the other side. And so we wanted to have the opportunity to take the chance, because our job is to move Black men and the Black families across the finish line as a whole. But we want to take our time and say, how do we communicate with Black men 18 to 45 years old? And we learned that it is in technology, and it is in, it is in now, like you see through Instagram, some even Facebook. I didn't even think Facebook would pop up as the top medium.
Everybody forget.
Facebook is how women communicate, believe it or not. Modern women now, especially Black. My mother's, she'll be 88 this year, right? How does she communicate, keep up with what's going on? Facebook. Which is why a lot of black men actually left Facebook, is because it became a woman's medium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Facebook is a dominant force. Everybody see the shiny object. People think TikTok is all that. No, it's a ton of people who are on Facebook, and there's a ton of folk who communicate. And so what I tell people all the time, you got to be everywhere. When I meet people and they say, hey, how can we follow you on social? And I go, let's see, we on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Spill, Spoutable, Fan Base, Tumblr. We on all those. And so my deal is, I don't care where you at, I want to reach you.
That's right. That's right. And look, and you have to know and think about it. You have to know and understand who lives on those platforms. We talked about TikTok. People say, "Oh, all young people on TikTok." No, it's not all young people. It's actually women, younger ladies. Those are the ones that are on TikTok. Black men are not on TikTok, right? And so you've got to understand those mediums, and social mediums.
Absolutely, Michael. Where can people go to read the full report?
Okay. Any thoughts?
No, basically, this is more about control, okay, and that's what he's talking about. And he's pandering to Black women. What he's trying to do is trying to teach the Democratic Party and Black men how do you actually manage these Black men that have gone wayward.
Yeah, how do you these Jermaines have gone wayward?
If Jermaine's gone wayward, how do you bring him back into the fold? How do you manage him?
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff was actually correct. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I still have to represent. Come on, baby, you got to do this. Okay? What we got to do. I know it's rough. I know they're hard headed. I know they're jealous of you. Things that's the way you have to do things.
Well, I wanna actually play something we referred to earlier. And the quickest way I found it was on Phil's channel. So shout out to Phil.
Phil Scott,
media. Yeah. But we're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna give Nina Turner a moment to explain Black men's relationship.
I have a short. Yeah, I just made it into a short. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, just to give her a chance to explain the relationship between Black men and the Democratic Party. Here we go.
What's your read on why so many Black men, Hispanic voters have found in Trump something to admire, something even to vote for?
Madam Editor, I'm glad you asked me that question. For me, the Democratic Party emasculates Black men. And I think Hispanic men probably feel the same way. And I say this because they weaponize identity. When and where we enter, who we are, how we identify is important to who we are, just like our fingerprints. But if you're not going to use my identity to advance a social justice cause, and you're just going to use my identity as a blunt force object, now I got a problem. So what the Democratic Party does, they put Black women on a pedestal and they say, we're the mothers of the movement, or we save the party. But yet you don't put forth policies that save Black babies. You don't put forth policies that deal with the maternal death rate of Black women and Black babies in the United States of America. You don't do those things that lift and edify. Yes, identity is important. Both parties use it differently. Republicans use it to say that everybody Black or brown or of a mixed race is somehow kind of way a DI hire. They use it to say certain books will be banned. Don't tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how this country was formulated, because you might hurt a white child's feelings by saying that, yeah, chattel slavery existed. Oh, by the way, white powerful folks stole the land from the indigenous people. So all of those things, Chinese Exclusion Act, I mean, we can go down the list. But Democrats use it in a way that alienates other folks, and it offends me. So when I talk to Black men across this country, they don't see themselves in this party. It's one thing to recognize the power and prowess of Black women and the sacrifices that we make. It is another thing to put us above Black men. The Black struggle, Black men and Black women have to be together. We don't have the luxury to be separated. And so I resent the Democratic Party for doing that. And so Black men do not see themselves as a party. That bravado, because we got a kind of masculine energy, and masculine energy is not all bad. But the type of bravado that Trump puts forward is still very much rooted in a hierarchical patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men gravitate to that.
Yeah. I think even that's a superficial take at the end of that.
Right.
As far as what men are gravitating toward. And even though I agreed with her assessment of what the party does to Black men, which I find embarrassing that Roland can't, seem to articulate. He turned it into a childish tantrum, whereas Nina Turner explained it far better than he did. But even at the end of what she was saying, I think she kind of missed the mark there, because, and I'll say this because most people do not know how to think about how Black men address things. They think that they can anticipate it. They think they don't have to listen to Black men, and their takes are usually way off base, in my humble opinion. The kind of ending there suggests to me she still doesn't quite get it. It's not, and a lot of people like to say this. Well, Trump got a lot of Black men because he knew how to thump his chest and act like a man. No, at the end of the day, they were tired of what the Democratic Party wasn't giving them. They were assuming our votes and giving us nothing. And at least what they gave Black women was the appearance of acknowledgement, the appearance of adulation. Whereas for Black men, we got nothing.
Yeah. But she's very spot on. I don't see myself in the Democrat Party. I just don't.
Yeah. No, she's dead on about that. She's dead on about that. But I think this quick, ham-fisted, men respond to Republican and don't respond to Democrat because they want to be macho is another way, kind of like what Roland was doing at the beginning of the show. It's another way to dismiss Black without actually having to hear them.
Yeah. They're giving us the Sonny Hollister treatment. Black men were just ridiculous for voting for Trump. Like, okay, whatever.
Well, I don't make it about Trump, because in the next election, it's going to be the same argument in a different dress, a different performance.
Because that's the way they see Trump. Okay,
right,
and they think we see Trump the same way they see Trump.
You're breaking up.
I would say they think that we see Trump the way they see Trump.
Exactly. And I think we're seeing this with Ice Cube. Yes. Not in that, and people kept accusing him of being a Republican no, I think what you saw with Cube is a willingness to address power.
Right.
Yes.
And to negotiate with power in the interest of, look, our votes mean something. If you want them, here's what we want. Now, that's an intelligent way of addressing power in any context.
Yes.
To have a politic that's framed around, I'm going to shut up while the party I don't like is in office. And then when the party I do like comes into office, I'm going to give them my votes blindly and leave it at that. That doesn't work as a political plan for Black men.
And no other group does that.
Right.
Latinos don't do it. White men don't do it. White women don't do it. The only group that does it or expected to do it is Black people, especially Black women, because it works for them. It doesn't work for us.
It doesn't work for us. And instead of framing it as a tantrum, framing it the way you just did would be far more productive. Black men are withdrawing because it doesn't work for us.
Yes.
And the reason you're seeing numbers that are that high is also generational. Older groups of Black men are voting in very traditional patterns. You're not getting to younger Black men because what you're talking about not only doesn't interest them, but doesn't suit their political needs.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to see the numbers of black men continue to drop as long as you're not catering to their political needs.
Yeah, but black women have to be willing to accept it, and they're not.
Yeah,
that's the problem. They're not willing to. They see it, but they're not willing to accept it. You can show, just like you can show them proof and stats and facts and all kinds of. They're not willing to accept it.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to show, but I just I really wanted to have this conversation. And honestly, I was in the position of being able to hear my favorite YouTubers' takes. I'm in such a position where I can ask them to show up, and I get the luxury of playing something for them and hearing their responses. So it's a bit selfish of me. I acknowledge that, but I wanted to hear what BGS and AB had to say on this, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm very appreciative to both, because they both have schedules. They both have 1,000 things they need to do. BGS in particular has been very patient with me. I was a little sick yesterday, and we were supposed to do this then. And he could have blew me off today. He's got a million things to do.
I do.
He's got the grandson he's got to deal with, and he was kind enough to say I'm there. So I appreciate it. And I didn't even give AB any notice. I couldn't reach him, and he came up straight from the comment section. So I appreciate both of y'all. Any last thoughts about any of this?
The thing is, I'm starting to get tired. Okay, because black women want us to be with them and support them and take care of them and all this kind of stuff, and they keep giving us the same thing. Okay, how long have we been listening to the exact same thing, man? I know for at least 60 years. Okay, when is it going to change? When is it going to change? Well, I thought with the loss of Kamala Harris and when the polls came out and white women abandoning them, they would actually start to change. But the thing is, they're coming back with the same crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same
And
stuff.
they didn't they spend a couple $1 million not long ago trying to figure out how to get men back to voting for the Democrat. I think this was last year sometime.
Yeah, it was last year. Okay.
What came out of that?
Not very much.
They pretty much came to the conclusion that we're all misogynists.
Yeah, and I think Trump deciding to basically help almost blow up the party, the Republican Party. I think they're feeling their oats right now. They don't need us.
Well, if they go back to no voting, no vucking, I think that's a complete death of the party for black men. I'm just all I'm saying.
Well, hey, you're not gonna see any guys on the stage twerking. It's gonna be Megan Thee Stallion, because the thing is, I think that's most black. I have a funny feeling most black women actually want to be Megan Thee Stallion.
I think it illustrates how much the Democratic Party has prioritized women and LGBTs, and because when the whole question of how to get heterosexual black men to vote comes up, and the only thing you can produce is no voting, no vucking, then you clearly have a couple of demographics that you've prioritized to the detriment of the future black male vote.
And black men are going to have to stop responding to the finger wagging, okay?
Yeah.
Because when you argue back, if you ever notice, women love for you to argue back, okay?
Oh yeah, they hate it when you walk off.
Stop responding to this stuff, okay? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. What's the one thing a black woman cannot stand is indifference.
Yes.
But BGS, I think that's part of the problem. I think that's why Roland is able to step into this gray area and define for other people what black men are thinking.
Right.
I think the issue really is that black men have been withdrawing without explaining themselves because nobody's listening anyway.
Right.
So they've started to step away in numbers that I think scares the party.
Yes.
And the parties don't seem to know what to do about it, but they've invested no time in actually listening to black men that aren't already in their thrall.
Right.
And so I think what they're doing here is fear-based. I think they're afraid of black men who have already withdrawn and haven't explained themselves because nobody listened to them anyway.
The thing is, then they're not afraid of the men that are already withdrawn. What they're afraid of is the momentum.
Yes.
Headed that way. And it's getting worse.
And it's getting worse, especially generationally. So, what are you going to do? Well, you know, we all have a lot to say. It's one of the reasons that we created the Black Male Political Agenda in 2020 was just as a compendium of ideas from Black men about how to improve the quality of life for Black men politically.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're unwilling to actually talk to Black men, or if you're going to make the claim like Roland does,
Mm-hmm.
that there's no intelligent reason that Black men have been withdrawing, then I offer you the agenda to look at.
And
Because we clearly don't know the set of issues that Black men are contemplating outside of your framework. So go ahead.
The thing is, until we started talking to the other side, they didn't pay us any attention. Okay, that's why that's why come we have to have Black male political independence. Okay, whichever side gives us the best deal, that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Farrakhan said that in the 1980s. That was the first time I had heard it.
Right.
And then you had Ice Cube trying to take what was said and actually do something with it.
Yeah.
But but now you have greater percentages of men who are going to the couch or the Republican Party or third party, and to me, that's the group you want. Those three are the groups you really want to get.
Because Mama's voice is losing power. That's what's happening.
Mama's voice was subsidized by white liberals, and white liberals stopped paying Mama.
Yeah. Uncle Sam as a baby daddy's going broke.
And this is what has always financed Black girl magic. Now, I'm not. I think Black boys have magic. I think girls have magic. But what has also always subsidized Black girls' magic is white liberalism.
Of course, and white liberal money.
But we've never been told that. See, Black women present it as just their natural greatness. White folk don't say nothing about subsidizing it. And Black men are like, this shit smells fishy, and we've been saying that for years. When the money got cut, and we started to see things falling, Black men were like, this is what we've been trying to tell y'all for years.
We have, yeah.
And Roland gets up and said, well, y'all got to stop throwing a tantrum. It's not a fucking tantrum. We knew that something was afoot, something didn't smell right, and everybody gaslit us about it. Now you want Black men to shut up and fall into place?
And fall in place, yeah. Get back in line and be a real man, right?
No, I knew a guy on YouTube who used to talk a lot about a redress of grievances. I don't know if it's too late for that, but I do know it damn sure ain't happening without it.
It's not too late, but things the price has gone up.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's not too late, but the price has gone up. Okay. Yesterday's price is not today's price. That's what women like want to come around. Okay, Negro, we're gonna give you what you want. Okay, that's what I wanted back then. Okay, I got options now. So we need to sweeten that deal a lot more, not a little bit more, but a lot more.
Yeah. Well, let's see. AB, any closing thoughts?
2026 is coming up. Vote your interest, not party.
Yeah, I think the Democratic Party will because of Trump will overturn the seats. I think that's almost locked in, which is why Trump is trying to work out a peace deal. Okay, right now.
Yes.
For 60 days, he's trying to survive the midterm. I wait for that, but thing is going forward. Okay, if you want Black men to be engaged, you're gonna have to give us something.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah.
So, thank you both for coming through. Tell everybody when they can catch you next.
I'll be on tomorrow. I haven't been on much this week. I think I did a roundtable on Monday, and I think I might do another one tomorrow. So we'll see. I actually want to talk about the Voting Rights Act decision by the Supreme Court, and so I'm listening to the original case, and I'm seeing how come they didn't explain the case. Okay, there's a whole big reason. Oh, now I know why they talked about sharecropping and slavery instead of telling exactly what went on.
Okay.
Then I admitted the liberals screwed that up. Okay, that's how come the case went forward.
Okay.
It wasn't that evil white people came down and tried to do something, right? The liberals screwed that one up.
So about what time you think you'll go?
I'll probably go my normal time.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you the link of the video. I was actually
So
looking at
around,
talking about the case.
so around 2:00 your time.
Yeah, about 2:00, 2:30, something like that. Yeah.
So 2:30 Pacific.
Yeah.
In case y'all listening, if you haven't been to the channel, you need to subscribe.
Yeah.
And it's just BGS IBMOR, that channel.
Yeah, BGS IBMOR. I'm going to do it on that channel, and really it's the untold story behind that decision is because that's not being spread.
Okay.
It's really not being spread. That we're hearing, we see it like I think what's her name? She said it on the floor of Congress, stuff like that, but she's not telling the whole story. Okay, they're acting like evil white people came down and forced this case and blah blah blah. No, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even them. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, they tried to force something that hadn't been done before, and the Supreme Court pushed them back. So anyhow, but they didn't they clarified it. They didn't change anything. They clarified it. Okay. In other words, black the liberals are trying to do something that they couldn't do. Okay, and that's how come it went to court.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll be on Saturday in my normal time, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. All right. You know what the next subject you might deal with is?
I might talk about. Did you hear about that case in Fort Wayne with the 75-year-old?
I did, and the lady that pushed it down, the old lady tore out a chunk of her hair. So it was a straight up fight. And,
yeah, but a lot of black people are running around trying to defend this. She's an older lady, 75, but she acted a fool.
Yeah, she got into a fight with a younger person. Okay, and stuff happened. So when I actually read the case, just like with the brick lady, where I actually read the case, okay, it's all together different. Just like with when the young boy body slammed the girl, okay,
Mm-hmm.
They assumed something that wasn't going on, and that's I hate disinformation. So
yeah,
but when you actually read the case about the old lady in Indiana, okay, she went in and she started that fight, and she engaged in that fight, and when the young person retaliated, that's when she got hurt.
And the irony is, her own granddaughter came out and said that yeah, she was always like that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and they probably could have done much more damage to her if they had really wanted to. They didn't. It's more like they try to get her off of her. So yeah. Anyhow,
all right. Appreciate you both. I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Thank you for everybody that came through. Definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section, especially for the replay gang. Let us know what else you think needs to be part of this conversation, and we will holler at y'all later. So
all right.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, peace.
I am here to tell you, brothers, we are not criminals by birth, perennial rapists, incapable intellects, man-children, sperm donors, child support wellsprings, success objects, walking phalluses, ATM machines, lottery tickets, unintelligent henchmen, valueless assassins, pro bono mercenaries, unpaid bodyguards, interchangeable stepfathers, child discipline proxies, unpaid repairmen, workhorses, emotional tampons, or any other socially accepted dehumanizing stereotype. We are thinkers, inventors, innovators, leaders, fathers, and men. Embrace your humanity, know your worth, and extend your time, attention, and resources only to those who genuinely respect you. And remember, your worth is not defined by meeting other people's narcissistic, selfish, and unrealistic needs. You define your worth. Peace.